All right, let's see if I can remember how to do this. Oh, you already know. That's great. See, guys, he already knows. Yeah, we were just talking about how you weren't that good of a carpenter before your breaks. We were wondering if you'd be able to do these things when you came back. Yeah, but you already know, so that's great. Pardon you? I was talking about making videos, you son of a bitch. What's up everybody, Mark here from Remarkable Woodworks, and in this week's episode, I'm going to show you how to install a pre-hung door like a pro, and if you get good at this method, you can throw these things up in under 5 minutes. I really gotta get back into the swing of things. Tools are heavy. All right, so in my last video, I threw a little bit of a temper tantrum because, well, the flooring wasn't down. But since then, not only has it arrived, it's also installed. And I didn't shoot a whole video on it because, quite frankly, I just wanted to get it installed so that I could show you the pantry that I forgot to show you in the other video. And I was nervous about showing it because the flooring wasn't down and it was a whole thing. And anyways, here it is. Aside from installing the baseboard and some touch-up paint, the only thing left to do in that space is to install these bad boys. And lucky for you, that's what we're working on today. Now, my weapon of choice for pre-hung doors is by a company called Matree, and they're not a secret. You can find them at any big box store. However, I love the look of their Lincoln Park style doors. It's just so clean and simple. Like me. Now, I feel like it's important to note that before you get into the installation of your doors, you might want to double check the swing of your door. There's nothing more frustrating than getting your door into place and realizing that you've ordered the wrong swing for your space, like I did for here. Luckily, I'm in my own house. When you're working in a basement like this, it's almost guaranteed that the floor is going to be all over the place. So I like to check to see if the floor is level in two spaces. One is across the door opening, and the other is in the direction of the door swing. Now let me tell you, going through all the hassle of installing a door and having it not open properly because the floor is out of level is not the kind of surprise that you want to run into. So do yourself a favor, check the floor before you do any installs. If your floor is really out of level, you might have to make an adjustment off the bottom of the floor, which isn't a big deal, but it'll make the process a whole lot easier if you learn that lesson before you hang the door. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is take a level and make a level line across the opening of your door. Then using a tape measure, measure from the floor up to your level line and write that measurement down on the wall. Just make sure that you write your measurement down in a spot in which your casing will cover it. Now that you have those two measurements, you gotta find the difference and take it off the longer side. In my situation, the striker side was 3/16 longer than the hinge side, so I had to take 3/16 off of the hinge side of the jamb before installing it. I know this might sound a little confusing, but shortening the longer side of the jamb before you put the jamb in place will ensure that the top of the jamb is nice and level when you put the door back on. It makes things way easier than trying to figure it out once it's installed. The next thing you gotta do is take the pins out of the hinges, remove the straps, pop the jamb from the door, and put it in place. I find it helps if you put a shim on the hinge side at the very top where the top part of the jamb meets the side. That way it temporarily holds things in place for you to move the jamb around and make sure that you're happy with your spacing. Now that the jamb's in place, take a level on the hinge side, level that off by using 3 shims, one at the top hinge, one at the bottom hinge, and then again in the middle. If there is a hinge in the middle, put it just above that. Now when it comes to installing doors, one thing that is inevitable is movement. Up until recently, I used to use an 18 gauge brad nailer for installing my doors. I'd shoot those in the shims and call it a day. However, I recently picked up this 15 gauge finish nailer from DeWalt. It's a cordless one and it makes all the difference in the world. You wouldn't think that that small difference engaged in the nails would make a difference, but honestly, it really does. The strength of these nails are amazing and the hole is super clean, easy to fill, and leaves a great finish.
That's what she said.
I swear I'm talking about nailing. Nope. Moving on. Once you have the hinge side plumb, go ahead and put the door back on, make sure the pins are nice and secure, and then play around with the shims to close up the gaps and make sure that you have a nice even line around the outside perimeter of your door. Now when you start shimming the jamb, make sure that you only shoot 1 nail into the shim at the beginning. This will allow you to move the jamb around and make sure that you're nice and flush with the drywall before you fasten things off. That'll help the trim sit flat against both surfaces and it'll leave you with a much nicer finish. Don't get me wrong, once all the shims are set and everything's good to go, you're happy with the lines, you might as well go Tony Montana with the thing because this thing's really fun to shoot.
Say hello to my little friend.
Now the test to see if your hinge side is level, leave your door still like that. If there's no swing to it, you know you did a good job. You just double check your lines, close that up. You want a consistent line all the way down. And if you notice the gap there is a little bit big, but that's because the door still has to get painted. But overall, I'm really happy with how that looks. Now we just have to trim it up and it's ready to go. Boom, there we go. So easy, even I can do it. Now to snip the shims, you can either use an X-Acto knife or a multi-tool. Once you snip those, you're good for trim, install the door handle, and away you go. Well, you still gotta paint the doors, but that's a future mark problem. Probably won't ever happen. And that, my friends, is gonna do it for this week's episode. So if you like this video, please do all the things that you're supposed to do when that happens. Feel free to follow me over on Instagram. I love you all equally, and I'll see you when I see you.